What's up, guys? Game Fan for all games, and I'm back giving you yet another drama scripted Saturday. And on this drama scripted Saturday, we are going to first start off how we start off every drama scripted Saturday, and that is with the ratings. So on a 6-week win streak, AEW has yet won again with pretty high overall, almost 100 plus K from last week's 82700K, which NXT had only 700 and 3100K. So both shows increase from last week's numbers, which is, like I always say, it's very, very good for overall the company. If you've noticed on Raw decided to have some of the NXT superstars in the crowd, and it did help to make for an interesting show, something that AEW has been doing, I think, since after the first or second week the pandemic started. So nice to see that WWE is starting to have some type of crowd. So in news, WWE seems to be doing a DUI story with Jeff Hardy. There was a scene from SmackDown where Elias was on the ground injured, and then there was like a Toyota Camry that ran into a tree, and then like they did like a police investigation, and Renee Young was the reporter, and like the police found alcohol, and the bottle still looked pretty like around like half full, and there was no driver, and then magically the slip on when it tells you who owns the car, who owns the rental, came out, and it said Jeff Hardy. And then they found Jeff Hardy roughly like a couple of blocks away from the scene, and he was like all messed up and like hurting and everything. So they arrested him and took him to the precinct. Keep in mind, this is all story. So I was like, it came off kind of funny to me. Like I started laughing the first time I saw it. I just watched it this morning. But then I started thinking there could be a shot at that. He could have been framed. The only thing I don't get, if he was, I'm saying he probably was framed, was the accident part. But that's pretty, I don't know, the whole story, it hits too close to home for Jeff Hardy's reality, because his history with drugs in the past. But I don't know, that them doing the storyline is going to be interesting to see. In AWE wrestling news, Cody announced on Dynamite that he will be defending the TNT Championship every week. So to figure out who his first contender was going to be, they had a battle royal, and Jungle Boy won the battle royal. He Hurricane Ronald Orange Cassidy over the top rope to win, and he was in disbelief that he won at first. So now next week on Dynamite is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Jungle Boy for the TNT title. And other AEW news, the Revival showed up on Dynamite, and the Revival is now with AEW. And this has been, if you watch their Being an Elite series, this has been like probably in the works for probably a year and a half, 2 years. Because remember the slogan, "Fuck the Revival" or FTR, and then they got in trouble for WWE, so they couldn't say FTR, they had to change it to FFTR. And now the Revival is on Dynamite. After the Young Bucks defeated Private Party and Joey Janela, the Butcher and the Blade came into the ring to attack the Young Bucks, and then the Revival saved them, which was odd. I didn't expect that. At all. And then they had some type of stare down, and then the Revival winded up leaving, and then it was announced that there would be a sit down between Tony and the Revival on probably like why they're here. So Dynamite always seems to have a way of making you turn in every Wednesday. It was a great show. More action, because Dynamite always seems to have more action, and WWE always seems to have a lot of story filler. But it was a great Impact episode. Raw was okay. Them continuing Seth Rollins being like the higher power, or being the Monday Night Messiah. It's okay, but we all agree that Raw is still too long. 3-hour Raws just don't cut it for me. For me, it just doesn't cut it. And I think Flyer Fest, it's going to be just on the back of my head, because they beat SCU. Yes, Chris Sabian and Jimmy Havoc beat SCU to earn a tag team title match against Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, which is next week. And then winner of that goes on to face Best Friends at Flyer Fest. So it's almost like Best Friends are the champions, because they don't fight until like a month or 3 weeks from now, and they're not even the champions. They're just number one contenders. And now Jimmy Havoc and Chris Sabian go for the titles next week. But it's weird that the Best Friends already had a title shot for Flyer Fest, and they haven't had to defend the number one contendership. And now it's next week. It's Hangman and Kenny Omega versus Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc, and then winner beats the Best Friends. So it's kind of reversed. Should be the other way around. It should be Best Friends versus Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc next week, and then versus Hangman and Kenny Omega at Firefly. That part's kind of backwards to me. I don't know. To me, that's kind of backwards. And more news. The Ultimate Bro, Matt Riddle, got called up to SmackDown. They played a video package of him, so it's interesting to see what he's going to do on SmackDown starting this upcoming Friday. And next Friday, they are going to announce the person that is going to replace Jeff Hardy in the Intercontinental Championship. So yeah, that's all the news, wrestling news for this week's Drama Script Saturday. Oh, and I think one last thing I just remembered. Samoa Joe is going to be a full-time commentator for SmackDown. So that happened as well. But that's all the wrestling news for this week. I'm Game Fiend of all games. And remember, there's a Drama Script Saturday every Saturday. If you like what you witnessed, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next Saturday, guys, out of here, later, and peace.